What's up guys, before I get started with today's video, I want to announce that I've partnered up with Mindbreak Delos to give you guys 3 months free of their health and wellness app. Mindbreak offers curated mindfulness content designed to increase energy, improve focus, enhance mood, and reduce stress. Their short, restorative sessions harness unparalleled 3D audio for an immersive experience that helps give your mind a break. They also offer a range of experiences to fit your mood, including escape, rest, focus, and energize. Mindbreak is developed by Delos, a wellness, real estate, and technology company guided by the mission to be the world's leading catalyst for enhancing physical and mental well-being in spaces where we live, work, sleep, and play. To get yourself a chance to win 3 months free of the Delos Wellness app, all you gotta do is follow Delos Canada, tag a couple friends in their photos, and like their post. That's it. That's all you have to do to get yourself entered. It's a great app. You guys are gonna love it, especially if you guys have been struggling with finding some mindfulness, if you guys are trying to become more aware, and if you guys are just trying to find some inner peace or increase your focus. Check them out, and now let's get started with today's video. What's going on guys? We guys having the most blessed of your entire lives. Your boy is back with another video, and it is a spooky, creepy ass rainy day here in Ottawa, so I figured it would be a nice time to do a video about some scary unsolved mysteries. You guys are probably thinking, wow, that is a beautiful dog, absolute cutie patootie to the max, and you're absolutely right, he is the cutest dog on the planet. And now you're thinking, Ali, you probably just brought Max into the room with you so that we could see this cute little dog and be like, oh my god, oh, that is the cutest dog ever. Well, guess what? You're absolutely right. The only reason he's here right now is to be eye candy. But he is my baby, and I love him so much. So much. Now, enough about my little cutie patootie here. Okay, he is the cutest dog. I think Luna's in here somewhere as well. For those of you that don't know, this is Max, that is Luna, this is my dog, that is my cat. He's not the only dog that I have, and that's not the only cat that I have. If you guys see a whole bunch of animals jumping in and out of frame, it's not my house, it's their house too. And you know, I like to say that I am not the king of the house, the animals are. This is the animal kingdom. So it's whoever's on the top of the food chain, and right now I think it might be Luna. Please don't beat me up if I got that wrong though, Luna. Today we're going to be talking about the creepy unsolved mystery of the Basilica Axe murders. This was sent to me by one of my fans and one of our friends, Loopy Pothead. So thank you so much for sending that. She sent me a huge list of stuff that I could talk about in future videos. So if you guys like this, let me know and I'll keep going through this. The reason why we're doing a little bit of a sit down video today instead of our regular stuff is I've been trying to change things up on the channel, and I really find this stuff very interesting. I love these kinds of things, so I would love to go over this with you guys because I think it's really fun. So that's Luna. Also, can we appreciate the scary vibe that's going on right now? Let me know if you guys want pink, purple, red, yellow, green. Comment it below and I'll change the colors accordingly. But enough of that. Let me get into the video. So I have this article from allthatisinteresting.com, and we are gonna go over that with you. The bloody Villisca Axe murders have stumped authorities for over a century, despite numerous suspects, 2 trials, and a confession. I'm gonna dive right into this. At the end of a quiet street in Iowa lies this old, white-framed house. Up the street, there are a few groups of churches, and a few blocks away, a park that faces a middle school. The old white house looks like many of the others that filled the neighborhood, but unlike them, it lies abandoned. The house emits no light or sound, and upon closer inspection, the doors are found to be tightly boarded up, and a small sign out front reads, Villisca Axe Murder House. Despite the ominous air, the little white house was once filled with life. Life that was harshly stamped out one warm summer night in 1912, when a mysterious stranger broke in and viciously murdered all 8 of the inhabitants that night. Is that not the most horrifying thing that you have ever heard? Imagine this. Warm summer night, 1912, you're enjoying yourself with your friends, your family, whoever it is, and you guys go to bed, and some stranger, some absolute sociopath, breaks into your house and just murders everybody you love. And to this day, they still don't know who did it. The event would come to be known as the Villisca Axe Murders, and would stump authorities for over a century. On June 10th, 1912, the Moore family was peacefully sleeping in their beds. Joe and Sarah Moore were asleep upstairs while their 4 children were resting in a room down the hall. In a guest room on the first floor were 2 girls, the Stillinger sisters, who had come over for a sleepover. Shortly after midnight, a stranger entered through an unlocked door. Not an uncommon sight for what was considered a very safe, small, and friendly town. Hell, even in Ottawa, some people leave their doors unlocked out in the outskirts. So that's not unheard of even today. He plucked an oil lamp from a nearby table, rigging it to burn so low that it supplied light for barely even one person. So imagine a light barely light enough to light a room, just enough for one person to see. In one hand, the stranger held a lamp as he made his way through the house. In his other hand, he held an axe. Ignoring the sleeping girls downstairs, the stranger made his way upstairs, guided by the lamp and seemingly some sort of knowledge of the layout of the house. So maybe it was somebody they knew. He crept past the room with the children and into Mr. and Mrs. Moore's bedroom. Then he made his way down to the children's room and finally back down to the bedroom downstairs. Then as quickly and as silently as the stranger had arrived, he left, taking the keys from the home and locking the door behind him. The next morning, the neighbors were a little bit suspicious, noticing that the usually rambunctious house was dead quiet. They alerted Joe's brother, who arrived to take a look. What he saw after letting himself in with his own key was enough to make him sick. Everyone in the house was dead. All 8 of them brutally murdered beyond recognition. The police determined that the Moore parents had been murdered first, and with obvious force. The axe that had been used to murder them had been swung so high above the murderer's head that it actually gouged the ceiling above the bed. Joe alone had been hit with the axe at least 30 times. This is a warning for what I'm about to say next, but the faces of the parents, as well as the children, had been reduced to nothing but a bloody pulp. Let that sink in for a second. Now, here's the thing. The state of the bodies wasn't the most concerning part for the authorities. After the Moores were murdered, the killer had set up some sort of ritual. He had covered the Moores' parents' heads with sheets and the Moores' children's faces with clothing. He then went through each room in the house, covering all the mirrors and the windows with cloths and towels. At some point, he took out 2 pounds of uncooked bacon from the fridge and placed them in the living room along with a keychain. Another thing was, a bowl of water was found in the home with swirls of blood swirling through it. Police believed that the murderer had washed his hands in that bowl before leaving. By the time the police, a coroner, a minister, and several doctors had thoroughly gone through the crime scene, word of the vicious crime had spread, and the crowd outside the house had grown. Officials cautioned the townspeople against going inside, but as soon as the premise was clear, at least 100 townspeople gave in to their gross fascinations and trapezed through the blood-splattered home. I can't even fathom going through someone's house after they had been brutally murdered and then a ritual had been set up. That's a no from me. One of the townspeople even took a fragment of Joe's skull as a keepsake. How do you go through somebody's house and take a souvenir of a dead man's skull? Come on! As for the perpetrator of the Villisca axe murders, the police had shockingly few leads. A few half-hearted efforts to search the town and the countryside had been made. But unfortunately for the officials, the murderer had a 5-hour-long head start, and he would be long gone before the bloodhounds were brought in. With no success of finding the suspect, the crime scene had to be demolished by the townspeople. A few suspects were named over time, though none of them panned out. The first was a man named Frank Jones, a local businessman who had been in competition with Joe Moore. Moore had worked for Jones for 7 years in the farming equipment sales business, before leaving and starting his own rival business. There was also a rumor that Joe was having an affair with Jones's daughter-in-law. The townspeople insisted, however, that the Moores and the Joneses had a deep hatred for each other, though no one admits that it was bad enough to spark a murder. The second suspect seemed far more likely and even confessed to the murders, though he later recanted, claiming police brutality, so the police may have forced him into it. Lynn George Jacqueline Kelly was an English immigrant who had a history of sexual deviancy and mental problems. He even admitted to being in town the night of the axe murders and even admitted to leaving early in the morning, though his small stature and meek personality led to some doubt in his involvement, though there were certain factors that police believed made him the perfect candidate. You see, Kelly was left-handed, which, based on the blood splatter all over the walls, police believe the killer was also left-handed. He also had a history with the Moore family, as many believed they had seen him watching them while at church and out and about in the town. A dry cleaner in the nearby town had received bloody clothing from Kelly a few days after the murders. He reportedly also asked police for access to the home after the crime while posing as a Scotland Yard officer. At one point, after a long interrogation, he eventually signed a confession detailing the crime. However, he was almost immediately recanted as juries refused to indict him. For years, police looked into every possible scenario that could have culminated in the Villisca Axe murders. Was it a single attack, or was it part of a larger string of murders? Was it likelier to be a local perpetrator or a traveling killer simply passing through the town and taking an opportunity? Soon, similar reports of crimes happening throughout the country began to pop up. Though the crimes weren't quite as gruesome, there were two common threads: the use of an axe as the murder weapon, and the presence of an oil lamp set to burn extremely low at the scene, so whoever is committing these murders doesn't want anyone to see them coming. Despite the commonalities, however, no actual connections could be made. The case eventually ran cold, and the house was boarded up. No sale was ever attempted, and no changes were made to the original layout of the house. Now, the house still sits at the end of a quiet street, as it always has, while life goes on around it, undeterred by the horrors that were once committed within. Guys, that is absolutely terrifying. I can't even come close to comprehending what was even going through the killer's mind. How do you wake up one day and say, I'm going to just kill this entire family and leave no trace of their faces, their bodies, or like just completely unhinged? Like, that is baffling to me. That scares the hell out of me, because realistically, anybody is capable of doing that. Anybody could do it. Most people wouldn't. I'd say 95, 96% of the population wouldn't, but there's always that small, spooky chance. Anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Don't forget to follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Be sure to check out your boys' Blessed merch in the link in the description below. And until then, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace. He's coming in for some love. Come on, up. Good boy. Good boy. Say goodbye.